If you were to scroll down, if you were to scroll down at the bottom and go to the UEZ section, you click on it. This is, you get to see the beautiful face of our esteemed executive director, who's waving his hands, wildly on the screen. David Klein. Okay, so there's a lot of information that we've presented over time. David, it's really come a long way. Now, if you were to scroll down a bit, you see there's apply for Lakewood UEZ loan and incentive programs. It says in bold, application accepted starting Thursday, November 10th at 12 p.m. There's no ability before that to upload your applications. So just be cognizant of that. But as soon as the clock strikes 12, we'll all turn into pumpkins, and you can then submit your loans. Okay, if you click on the apply for the incentive programs, it will take you to the Lakewood UEZ Business Customer Web Portal. Okay, there's some very, very crucial information here. There's, first of all, this we're going to come to soon, but here's your loan application. Then for the incentive programs, they have a separate application. And for now, very importantly, is the specs for all the different programs to see which loan applies to you. So if you were to click on, read more on the financial assistance, program specs, it goes through all our existing as well as our new programs, starting with our standard microloan program to the UEZ COVID emergency loan program. Get a chance, take a look at it. I'm not going to focus on that. That's been around for a very long time. What our focus today was going to be on the new program, starting with the UEZ Business Low Cost Expansion Level, Loan Level 1. So the goal, as it's stated here, is to encourage UEZ business expansion and to enable UEZ businesses to obtain cost-effective loans for this purpose. Generally, let me just put this out there. We are here to help those businesses who may otherwise not be able to obtain loans, so on, for many reasons. Either they're too new, they don't have a credit history, they had an issue with a credit history, their credit isn't exactly what a bank would look for, so on and so forth. So that's part of why this program is in existence, to help local small businesses grow, thrive, or even get started. Now, for these new loans, just to give you a little bit of background, for quite some time, the UEZA in Trenton had closed down the program to the urban enterprise zones. Thankfully, of late, they started, the funds started flowing again, and at the initiative of David Klein and others, once the money came through from the UEZ, we were, anxious and eager to get these programs to the people who need it most, meaning our small businesses. So we came up with what we believe is 5 programs that will make the most impact for our local small businesses. The goal here, as the UEZ's, mission, is twofold. One is to economic development in their zones, in the struggling municipalities, and secondly is also part of the directive and the mission is also, job creation. So we sort of try to come up with products that will address both these goals. So if you look at the parameters for the low expansion level, loan level 1, so it's up to 20,000 per loan. I mean, the max of this loan is going to be $20,000, no closing costs. The interest rate is going to be at 2.5%, which is even lower than our existing microloan. The term, though, is different. It's a 5-year term. However, for the first 12 months, there's a grace period where you don't have to pay. So it's a 4-year amortization. Starting in month 13, you start paying down your loan. There is, just like any other UEZ loan, there's a requirement for collateral, so we're only going to take real estate as collateral. However, the LTV, LTV that we'll accept is quite high, it's 90%. So we made it very, very attainable. Business must be, as with all these incentives and loans, all the businesses applying must be UEZ registered in good standing at the time of application and remain in good standing as a UEZ business during the repayment of the loan. Now, another question that gets asked to myself and David quite often is, can I use this loan to pay down other loans? And the answer is no. This loan is for operational purposes, only for growth purposes, not to be paying down old debt. Okay, and then you have a whole bunch of things, prior to disbursement of funds, the UEZ business, you have to be in good standing and compliance with the state of tax division of tax and revenue, no active bankruptcy, civil judgments, or liens. And as we'll see in the actual loan, you will attest to that on the actual application. Okay, let's jump down. Okay, here we get to the interesting part. Beginning with the loan origination date. Okay, so as of we go live November 10th. If say you get as soon as you get your loan, if you go ahead and hire a full-time employee living in Lakewood, now they don't have to live in the UEZ, they have to live in the municipality of Lakewood, and you retain that employee for 12 months, and you'll have to prove that, then you can apply thereafter to have a half-year loan balance at that point. So if you did it right away, then your loan balance is still $20,000, you can get up to $10,000 forgiven. Now, again, it has to be a full-time employee. They have to live in Lakewood, and you're gonna have to prove their that they work for you by means of a W-2 or otherwise. Okay, now let's go through some of the criteria that you are going to have to meet upon application. The business size has to be 10 or fewer employees, or actually under 10, up to 10 employees. Gross sales of up to $750,000 per year. This, just to point out, because there are two low-cost expansion loans, we're trying to gear this smaller one, the level one, to the smaller businesses amongst us. And you'll see in level two, it sort of open up to a little bit of a larger business. So gross sales have to be under $750,000 a year. Has to have at least one full-time employee that resides in Lakewood municipality, and the owner has to provide proof that he is a Lakewood resident. Okay. Now, this is important for all the loans and all the incentive programs. All these, because we allocated a limited amount of funds. It's a first come first served basis. That's why we spend so much time putting up this website, to make sure that there's a level playing field. Not to say that if you don't have a computer, you can't submit, but you can do it in person. But submitting it online will give you the best chance of getting in there, I guess, first. Now, the one thing with the level one, level two is, while you can apply for any of these loans, if you have an existing UEZ loan, a micro loan, or a disaster loan, you cannot apply for both level one, level two expansion loans. It's either or. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's the level one. Level two, we'll just go through it briefly. It's very similar in nature. The difference being that the loan is for up to $50,000, the same 2.5% interest rate. The term is the same. Obviously, the dollar amount is going to be different in your payments. You start paying after 12 months. Again, you're going to need collateral. You're going to need real estate for collateral. Maximum LTV is going to be 90%. You have to be in good standing and all that stuff. Here, when we get back to the forgiveness piece, it's a little different in the sense that in order to be able to apply for forgiveness, you have to hire two full-time employees and retain them for 12 months in order to get 50% of your outstanding balance forgiven. If you only hire one full-time employee that resides in Lakewood and retain them for 12 months, you are eligible for forgiveness, but you'll only be eligible to up to 25% of the outstanding balance at the time of your submittal for forgiveness. That's going to be your max forgiveness because you only hired one person. The stakes are higher, but the loan is higher, and that's why it was done that way. Again, it's only geared for small businesses up to under 10 employees. However, this one, if it's also for businesses up to 1.5 million in annual sales. Okay, so revenue, gross sales can be up to $1.5 million, and the owner has to provide proof that they reside in Lakewood, and they have to have at least one full-time employee that resides in Lakewood. Now, interesting point. If you get rejected for whatever reason for the loan for level two, you still may be eligible for level one. Just keep that in mind. Just because your either your financials or whatever it is, the finance committee will review it, and if they don't feel that you have the fiscal ability to make payments over time on the full payment for a $50,000 loan, they may feel that you are eligible for a $20,000 loan, so you may be considered for a level one expansion loan. Okay, those are the two new loan programs. Let's talk briefly, and I'm going to go as soon as I'm done with the descriptions here. We'll go and I'll actually walk you through an actual loan application, so you're ready. Come, all your documents are ready, and you're ready to upload it come 12 o'clock on November 10th. So let's just briefly talk about the incentive programs. Now, the incentive programs the requirements are going to be much less. You won't have to submit financials. Basically, you're just going to have to prove your business in good standing at the time of your application for the incentive program. No collateral obviously is going to be needed. No financial documents and so on. You're going to have to prove that you're going to have to provide a certificate of incorporation or the likes, and be a UEZ business in good standing, but not all the other financial stuff. So here, the parameters of this loan, again, the goal is to promote upgrading your business and taking your infrastructure, your technology infrastructure to the next level. I know over time, technology is not always at the forefront of what people go and upgrade. We want to make sure that our businesses have the wherewithal and the ability to stay technology at the cutting edge, or at least close to it. So that's one of the reasons we put this out there. It also applies not only to hardware and software, but also if you want to get trained in a certain area that's relevant to your business, that's a consideration as well. So this incentive, the max per application is going to be $5,000 per incentive per business. Funds may be used for electronic equipment, software, technical training, or other expense in the spirit of technical expansion, subject to the review by our financial committee. Now, the criteria for application is as follows. Again, you have to be less than under 10 employees, gross sales of $1 million per year or less, have at least one full-time employee that resides in Lakewood. The owner must provide proof that they reside in Lakewood. And here they must sign a commitment to make their best efforts to hire additional FTE that resides in the Lakewood UEZ, not the zone. Within 3 years, you're going to make your best efforts to hire employees from Lakewood, from the Lakewood municipality. Now, if there's a catch as well, an additional bonus incentive here. If you do go ahead and hire 3 full-time employees within 3 years of receiving this incentive, businesses will then be eligible for an additional $3,000 technology incentive at the end of the 3-year period. So just keep in mind, this may be just an added bonus, that if you do hire, if you're a growing business and you hire 3 individual full-time employees and retain them, then you will be eligible for an additional $3,000 at the end of that 3-year period. Again, the business has to be UEZ registered and in good standing. I will, David, if you'll indulge me for a second, if you can, Chaim, if you can, allow him to jump in here. In terms of, I know we went through, and this is a big shout out to David and Chaim and Anita and everybody else. We went through a remapping of the actual zone. I know David and Chaim spent a lot of time they hired a company to really and they did a great job, and it passed I think the board here in Lakewood. I think it's waiting for UEZA approval. So as far as new businesses who are coming on board and are going to be in the zone, okay, they are going to be eligible to apply for this loan. Is that is that correct?
Okay.
I don't want to put you on the spot if it's still not,
it's okay. On the spot, but that's okay. Honestly, that is something, technically, if you're in the zone today, you can apply for these loans as of November 10th when we go live. As far as making application and knowing that you reside in an area that's on the proposed map. So honestly, that's something I'll have to go back to the board and have a discussion with them. Are they excluded? They certainly would have to be a registered UEZ business at the time of award of the loan. That's for sure. Question is, can they make application today, not officially being registered, in the hopes that when the new map is adopted by the state, that at that point there'll be funds available still to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make an executive decision right now and say, I have to really tread lightly over here. Well, once again, maybe we should have a little.
Okay, we're gonna have a discussion. This remains okay. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, and it definitely we can put it to the board, and we can get them to make the executive decision. But definitely, I would suggest anybody who's in that predicament to, number one, just reach out to David or myself or to Chaim Orelowitz, and the determination that we're waiting for is to see whether or not there's gonna be a place setter for those individuals, for those funds. If you apply on, if you applied and you're part of the first group of businesses that apply, meaning technically you would be on the first come first served, you would get access to those funds, but because the UEZA hasn't been officially ratified, I mean the new map. So in this interim state, they're gonna have to make a determination what the ultimate outcome is gonna be. Meaning, is it gonna be that we're gonna put a place setter in, hold funds for that potential, for them potentially being eligible, or
can I make
they
a
gonna have to wait till the next? Yeah.
So actually, the status of the new map approval is that the township committee is going on November 10th, actually the same date as that we go live. They're going to do a second reading, and ostensibly they're going to approve the map. Then we send it on to the state for their approval. And without getting into the weeds, but it could take, we're probably looking at 3 to 4 months, to be honest with you, to get that map officially approved. So what you may want to consider in LCSC as you're doing the intake and app gathering and giving guidance for the applications, you might want to take people's applications and set up a system, of a queue. And if there's still funds available at the point when the map goes live, those people that were in the queue, first come, first served basis, can apply for the remaining funds. But of course, the businesses that currently are UEZ registered or are not today, but are in the current map and want to register, they could actually receive funds if upon award and approval of their loan.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that clarification, which obviously needs further clarification, but we will definitely get that clarification to you as soon as we can. Okay, going back to the, thank you, David. Back to the, okay, so on to the next incentive program, employee retention incentive program. And here again is, as stated, the goal is to promote a core mission of the UEZ program, which is create jobs and retain jobs wherever possible. So here, the incentive is going to be per employee. If you retain employee, it's up $1,500 per employee. Now, retention incentive of eligibility begins obviously from the launch date, which is going to be November 10th. Now, employers should make application for incentive after hire remains employee for 6 months from the date of hire that anteceded program launch dates. In other words, as of whichever comes later, whether it's your hire date or November 10th, 6 months out is when you can apply for this program, for this incentive. Once you've passed the date of the program going live and you've had that employee on in working for you for 6 months, right, and you're in good standing and everything else, small business under 10 employees, making less than $1 million or less, have at least one full-time employee working for you, and the owner resides in Lakewood and can prove it, then they go ahead and apply for this, $1,500 credit. You can apply for up to 3 employees, meaning you can get up to $4,500 credit. If you have 3 employees and you retain them for 6 months, all residing in Lakewood, then you can get up to $4,500 per business. Okay. Again, it's going to have to follow many of the other criteria, meaning it has to be in good standing, no bankruptcies, no judgments, and so on and so forth. But 6 months, keep your employees for 6 months from the time it goes live. Or if you hire somebody after that date and you keep them for 6 months, then you're eligible for the $1,500 incentive. Okay, and the way you're gonna have to prove that you hired them and you retained them is via a W-2, employee contracts and W-2 forms. Okay, now on to the next incentive program, which is a bank for the application incentive. Now, what this is basically, if you are a business that's applying for a conventional commercial bank loan, many times, the bank fees themselves can be prohibitive and very expensive. Our goal is to assist you in making that happen and getting that, making that loan, attainable to you. So the max amount for this loan per business is $5,000. And the loan, what it can be applied to, the fees that it can be applied to are as follows: bank origination fees, bank processing fee, appraisal fees, environmental report fee, inspection. It goes through a whole list over here: recording fees, title search fees, inspection fees, anything associated to the closing of a commercial loan, the closing costs. Again, it's for small businesses under 10 employees, revenues of 1 million or less. Gross revenues you have to have at least one full-time employee residing in Lakewood, and the owner must prove that they reside in Lakewood, and all the other stuff that we mentioned earlier has to be in good standing with the state, Division of Taxation and Revenue, no active judgments, bankruptcies, tax liens and so. Those are the three incentive programs that we designed, hopefully, to help small businesses. Our feeling is that they're gonna go fast, just by way of hearing from people, and the feedback so far is that these loans are the funds are gonna go pretty quickly. So my recommendation is, as with all these programs, get yourself familiar. People at this point, after going through COVID and all that stuff, people have become accustomed to these deadlines where they have to get everything all submitted right away at a certain point, and there's a lot of prep work. So my recommendation is look at the necessary documents, prepare yourself so that when 12 o'clock on November 10th comes, you'll be prepared to just hit the submit button and you'll be ready to go. So that's, that we did it at a time where we believe makes it easy and attainable for many people. We tried to make it really do it on a level playing field. Now what I'd like to do is to sort of go back and go into the actual loan application. So if I'm sharing my screen here, if you see back on the screen prior, there was a loan application, incentive applications. I'm going to go through the loan application, so show you what it looks like and what you're going to have to do to get the actual submission going. So you click on the loan application, it takes you to this loan application page. Now, it gives you pretty clear directions here, but I'm going to go through them. So direction: prepare a business plan, and we've given you templates for anything you're going to need to submit. You have templates here that are downloadable, that are workable, and they're pretty straightforward. So as an example, you're going to have to prepare you're going to have to prepare a business plan. So we provided a clickable link to a business plan template, and if you look at it, it really, tells you exactly what to do, where to put your name of your business, the business, your all information, say your address, phone number, email address, and then in each section, and if I just to give you an idea of, in general, why these things are necessary, whether you're going for a loan, applying for a loan, a private loan, a business loan, with any type of loan, the lender wants to know, when he's lending you money, right? He wants to know that the borrower knows what he's doing as far as running a business. And by going through the exercise of writing a business plan, it it forces you to address all the key areas of your business, be it your description of your business, what you're selling, what your marketing plan is, your management and personnel, what industry you're in, and how you operate within that industry, your startup costs, your source of funds. So that's really the reason and the necessity for a business plan. So here you have a business plan that tells you in the description of the business, it tells you exactly, briefly describing it. It's really PhD, what I'm saying? Just plug and play. And that's why we gave you this particular template, because we found that businesses applying to us for over the years found this the most straightforward and easy, model to use. So go through the exercise of writing up your business plan, and as with any of these documents, if you have any questions or need any help, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll do our best to help you. So that's the business plan. You have to have it. As you're going to need some other financial documents, and here we'll let me just hold on, I have it open already. So here you have a cash flow forecast, okay? And you have 3 tabs here. There's going to be a balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flow forecast. And basically, we set it up to where it's starting on January 1st, 2022. You see that right there. But really, it's whatever date you're starting it at, that's the date you should put in here, and everything else from there on, everything here will flow. Now, in this particular you know, spreadsheet, you'll have certain, expenses here, but they're not there. This is for whoever, these are pretty general expense categories. You would be putting in the expense categories that relate to you. Okay. So obviously this must have been a food establishment because there's kosher supervision, as different stuff here. But you have to select what's relevant to your business, the key expense categories, and put them in, and then and it'll calculate. You'll see as you put stuff in, it'll calculate automatically. Obviously, if you're depending on the amount of loan you're taking, I would put in wherever you expect to get that loan. Whether it's a month out, 2 months out, put a projection of that month money coming in. Your sales are your sales. Now, I would make sure, and that's why I highlighted your UEZ loan payments. Many people go through exercises and forget to put in the amount that they're going to have to be making on a monthly basis to repay their loan. Make sure to put that number in. Again, if you have any questions with this, feel free to reach out to us. But this is straightforward, and it goes for 2 years. We're looking to see how what your cash flow is going to look, what you project out for the next 2 years. If I go to the first tab, that will basically give me a snapshot, okay, of what you anticipate well, put it this way. If it's an existing business, I would go to your last fiscal quarter or year and provide us with a snapshot, with a balance sheet of what your business looked like at that point. Okay, same for a P&L. Go to your last quarter or last reportable time frame and give us here. See, it's on an annual basis. Go through a last reportable year and give us the numbers for your P&L. Obviously, I'm not going to go through the whole definition of what a P&L is right now, but if you have any questions, we'll do our best to help you and get you most of this stuff. If you have a bookkeeper or if you have an accountant, the most, this should be, very simple for them to provide to you. But again, if you want to take a stab at it yourself and you want some assistance, you want some guidance, reach out to us. So that's pretty much, those are the 3 documents you're going to have to do ahead of time and make sure you have handy when you're going to have submitted. Now, let's just go quickly through again. Here's your checklist of what most businesses, I say 90% of this is going to be relevant to all the businesses. The only thing that I can say that may not be so relevant is your gift letter, family support. It's only if applicable. If you're a startup business and you still are, relying on some outside help, that would be relevant. Other than that, you're going to need the actual application, your business plan, your, most recent 2 years of personal and business tax returns, your certificate of formation or corporation, your UZ SBA 5 form, which shows it's the form that shows, and we provided it, that shows you're in good standing with the UEZ, and then your financial stuff, your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and your cash flow projections. Those are the documents you're going to need. This is your checklist. Now, as far as the actual loan application, so here's a sample, and this is downloadable, this is fillable. You can fill it out right here online. So here's your company information. Pretty, very straightforward. Now here's where you're going to have to select, and it's a drop down. You're going to have to select which loan program you are applying for. Now, if you're applying for more than one, let's say you want to get the emergency loan for whatever reason and an expansion loan, you're going to have to actually submit 2 separate applications. So here it gives you a drop down. It gives you program 1, 2, 3, 4, and here it describes them. So you're going to have to fill it out. Now, if you want to apply you want a $40,000 loan from the business expansion, that's fine. Or if you want a micro loan and you want $30,000, that's where you get to put in the amount that you're looking for right here in this fillable space. That's where you put it. Now, here again, you're going to put the application. You're going to put your name in, your title. Now, if you are applying there's two reasons, there's two, different scenarios where you're gonna have to have a co-applicant, okay? Number one is if you have a partner, so any entity, anybody that is a legal partner on that entity in the corporate docs is gonna have to sign on this loan, because you're taking, the loan is actually to the business, and therefore, you're going to have they're gonna have to sign this application. Another reason, and if there's a third person, you can just give us the information in the back or whatever it is. We're going to need the information for all co-applicants, co-guarantors. Another scenario where you may need a co-applicant is if you personally do not own your home, but you have somebody that's willing to co-sign on this loan with you, and they are willing to provide or to put up collateral for you. That's fine. They will have to sign this, co-sign this loan and provide their financial information as well, being their tax returns, and their general, financial information, which we'll get down here. Those are pretty much the two scenarios where you're going to have a co-signer or co-guarantor, co-applicant or co-guarantor. Now, as far as the, your annual income information, we want it's outlined here. We want the big ticket items. You don't have to get too granular, but we do want your annual salary, your big ticket items, whether it's your your mortgage payments, your car payments, and just the big ticket items. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, but it's as well as on the asset side as well, assets and liabilities. If you borrow $1,000 from your neighbor and you owe them, I don't want to know about that. Okay, but the flip side is if there are key financial obligations that you have to list them in the liabilities. So, and then the assets as well. If you own marketable, commodities or whatever it may be, anything that's marketable as a value added in over here, because that adds to your total assets, and that just shows us that you have the wherewithal and the capability to, fiscal capability of making due on those loans. Continuing right on along, contingent liabilities, there are things you have to attest to. We need to know whether you're guarantor on any other form of debt. It's just a yes or no, fill it out, amount, and then they'll tell you here as well, do you have any outstanding letters of credit or security bonds? I think this stuff here is very straightforward. I don't think we have to, belabor all these the personal questions that you're gonna have to just respond to the yay, nay, and the amount. Now, here's where it gets important, because here's where you're gonna put your collateral piece in. Okay. Schedule C. This is really important. Here's where you're gonna put, if it's your own residence, then you put the address, the legal owner, and if it's more than one, put both people in there. Your purchase price, the current market value, your outstanding loan balance, the interest rate, okay, the loan maturity, when it's coming due, monthly payment, and then who the lender is. Pretty straightforward. You can get this information straight out of your mortgage documents. So it's not it's most of you, or not all of you, know this information off the top of your head. So just fill it out so that we have that information. Scrolling right along, here's where again, this is just the collateral, the real estate you're putting up. Just put it in here again. If you don't, some people don't have their address, but they have a block and lot. That's fine. Who their owner is, and then signer, co-signer, and if you have to, just add a third. But that's pretty much the application. This, thankfully over time has been streamlined to the point where this used to be, believe it or not, probably a 50 or 60 page application that we've thankfully, when I think Anita, you remember this, but I think when Sandy hit, we had to get it out there. We streamlined it, and we saw how well it worked. So this is the whole application, instead of spending months putting together.
That was developed by us, and now that there's more information required, but it's pretty streamlined right now. You did a good job.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, so that's the loan application. I will, okay, so at the time, if now that you have all this document, you check your checklist, you have all your documents ready for some, for uploading. Come 11:59 a.m. on November 10th. I would, okay, let's step back a second. I wouldn't wait till 11:59. I'd go on earlier. There's give yourself 5-10 minutes. There's some information here that you're gonna have to fill in, whether it's meaning your business name, the key relevant information that gets uploaded along with your documents. I need you to fill all that in. And then here, wow, David and team did an amazing job. There are upload boxes for every one of the pieces of information that are required. So if you see here, there's a place to upload your file, your application, your business plan, your tax return, your second tax return, your first personal return, second personal return. This is for principal 1 and for principal. This is number 1 and 2 for principal 1, number 1 and 2 for principal 2 if necessary, and even for 3 if necessary. Here's where you upload your certificate of formation, your corporation. Here's where your UEZ form gets uploaded, a gift letter if applicable, and your P&L and your balance sheet. And any other financial documents or other documents that you feel that are relevant or pertinent or should be, submitted along with that, go right here. So we did give you an extra area to submit any other documentation that you want to upload.
You're like
Right down
like
here.
proof of your employee residence in Lakewood, like a utility bill or something. They can redact the dollar amount on there. That's where you would upload it in that box as an example.
And as the time comes closer, you may see another box if we see a necessity to have a special box for any given item. You may see another, but everything that you have, everything you're going to be able to upload everything from this portal. Yeah, amazing. Now down here, you're going to have a button it's going to go when it's live. It's going to have a submit button. Once you've gotten all your stuff uploaded, you can hit the submit button and it will record the time and date and time of your submittal, and that way we'll know, first come first serve. So yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Now that's as far as the loan goes. Let's just quickly take a quick look at the incentive applications. It's much more, it's much, it's much smaller, much less information. Again, you're going to need the UZ form that shows that you're in good standing with the UEZ. You're going to need the same personal information at the time of upload. But here, as far as the application, it's a similar application. However, there's no financial data necessary, no collateral, no nothing. All you need is your company information up here. The incentive program you're applying for, it's a drop down, pick 1, 2, or 3, whichever is, or and again, if you're applying for all 3, then you're going to have to fill out 3 of them and submit 3 independently. So here's where you select the programs. Here's where you put the personal information and then answer these brief questions, and then sign, date, and if you here, the only reason you have a co-applicant is if you own the business, it's the partnership, you don't own the business yourself, you'd have to get, okay for your partner would have to sign along with you. So that's where that has a co-applicant. I think that's the long and short of it. I guess we'll open it up if anybody has any, specific questions. If you have any more detailed questions, feel free to, I guess, reach out to us. Chaim is going to in the chat, I guess, is going to put the information on how to reach us. But does anybody have, Chaim, you want to open it up to everybody if anybody has any brief questions for now? Hi, you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah. So if anybody would like to speak, I think you're able to unmute yourselves and go ahead and unmute yourself and raise your question. Also, there was somebody who sent in a question via email. I sent it to you in your private chat. I'll send it to you again. Maybe you want to talk to this. Not sure if the person is here right now.
Can I ask a
Okay, I'm
question
happy.
for a second?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you. What about a business that doesn't have a federal tax return from the past 2 years, like a new business? Are they eligible for these programs and incentives, or you need that? That's one of the qualifications.
So, okay, so either for the loans, we have lent money to startup businesses. There, the requirement, the finance committee will obviously scrutinize the individual's personal tax returns more closely in order to ensure that they have the wherewithal to make those payments. And they will, I guess, focus more on the financial documents they are submitting, being the cash flow projections, the balance sheet, the projected balance sheet, and P&L. That's where they're going to focus more. They may do a more in-depth analysis of those documents, simply to make sure that the business is viable and will be able to make those timely payments. But to answer your question, you can still apply for the loans as well. As long as you're incorporated, you can apply for the incentives as well, because that doesn't require any financial documentation.
Okay, so I guess we would just leave out we wouldn't upload those files and documents on the application.
You would only, if you're applying, you would apply with your personal, whoever the principal that's applying would provide their personal tax returns for the last 2 years.
Right, okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, and on the application, it indicates if you're a startup, then you would, on that part of the application, mention that you're providing your
Personal.
balance sheet, profit and loss statement, and an interim statement. So it mentions it on the application.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, we have a question that came up.
Okay.
What happens in the scenario where someone submits an application but it's incomplete? They didn't provide all of the required documentation. So do they get a place in the queue that precedes somebody else that comes after them with a complete application? Or how do you handle it on the administrative side?
Okay, administrative side, pretty much, if it's close to complete, if they just, if it's obvious that they just put a application in there as a place setter, it's not gonna do the trick. However, I'd say if they provided 80-90% of the application, or there's questions that we have that we need further documentation, then that would suffice to be sort of a place setter. Obviously, with these loan applications, in any loan application, it's a process, and you submit, and there's questions, and there is a back and forth. But if it's quite obvious that you're just doing it just to reserve a spot, so to speak, that's not going to suffice. You have to make a good faith effort to provide everything that's been asked of you, and then we will that would do the trick. Does that answer the question, Doug?
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that covered it. Let's see.
Does anybody else have any further questions?
Yes. So somebody emailed before the webinar. If there are 5 employees, 4 are part-time and 1 is full-time, but the full-time worker is the owner of the corporation, can they still apply for the incentive programs?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We have, we're mom and pops, who work, that they're owner operating. That's what, we're here for them. That's definitely one of the criteria.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions before we wrap it up?
Anybody else would like to speak? You can unmute yourself. I think you press like 6 online. Yeah, there's somebody on the phone ending in 16. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. If I don't want a loan, is there something, some sort of a grant to just help me boost my business that I don't have to repay?
Other than the grants that we've spoken about that are outlined here, there's nothing that through the UEZ. I know every now and then the state comes out with stuff but that's outside our, our jurisdictions. Let's say we don't administer any other incentive dollars other than the 3 programs that we just outlined.
Oh, so when you're using the word incentive, you mean it's a grant that I keep?
Incentives, yes. Incentives, the 3 incentives that we actually reviewed, all those are for you to keep. We don't expect them back. We want you to grow and prosper. That's our goal. So you upgrade your technology. We're here to help you. So if you're eligible and you apply in time and you meet the criteria, then yeah, that's we want to put the dollars to where it'll make the greatest impact. And we felt a lot of smaller businesses especially don't focus on it, and if this can help them upgrade their technology or their training, whatever it is, yeah, that's a good use of our UEC dollars.
Okay. Now, second question. I was a UEZ business until we accidentally didn't recertify in time.
So
So
what you would do
they said I
is
lost it. Yeah.
So you okay, there's nothing negating you from reapplying. You can apply, and if you're eligible, if you were eligible before, chances are you're eligible again,
Yes.
unless there's
Right.
some issue. But then apply, reach out to the LDC.
Yes.
They're very, very accommodating, and they're wonderful to work with, and they'll help you get registered again.
So I am starting from scratch. I guess.
How long have you
Exactly.
been out of the program?
I have to check my last email from them. Possibly a year, maybe a year and a half or so.
You will need to reapply anew with your new employee numbers. Sometimes that changes also. Yes, sometimes we can get you in before you're completely
The system.
left out, but you're gonna have to reapply again, but you can do it.
Right, I did try a few times reaching out to them saying that it was an accident, and we missed it.
They don't want
And
to hear about it. You're gonna have to make a new
Yeah.
application. If you need any help, reach out to our offices.
Okay, so then I'll try to do that. So do you know the email address over there where I send?
Your best bet is to reach out to to the LDC, David, Anita.
Yeah, you can email uez@lakewoodnj.gov and mention your need, and we'll help you out.
Okay, so I'm going to do this right. I'm just make sure. Let me repeat it back. uez@lakewoodnj.gov.
Correct.
Now the Lakewood is spelled out.
Yeah,
Yes.
lakewoodnj.gov.
Good, perfect. I'm going to do that right now. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. This was very clear and helpful.
Our pleasure.
Okay. Anybody else?
Any other documentations are required for the incentive programs, or only the application?
The application and a UEZ 5 form showing that you're in good standing with the UEZ, and that it's online. You look at it, it says UZ 5 SB. It's right here on the online.
It's a 1-page form. It's very simple.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to ask a question?
Before
Please
we
go
wrap it
ahead.
up.
Yeah, last call for questions. All
Okay,
right.
I want to thank everybody who participated. I want to thank David Klein and Anita of the LDC for joining and for joining us. Chaim, thank you for an amazing job at co-hosting this info session. And we look forward to getting loads of applications and being very busy come November 10th. Do me a favor, spread the word. I know many small businesses don't have the time or wherewithal to jump on these webinars, but if you have friends that you believe can benefit from these programs, please let them know. We're here to help any and all small businesses, thrive and prosper. So everybody have a great day, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Chaim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, Chaim, David, Ms. Dole.